of how we apprehend the world through cognition. When we turn to his ethical moral works, Kant is moving in a different direction into what we call his practical philosophy. He's now trying to address the question of what is the good, what is a way to live a good and righteous life, how is it possible to create a better world. So this falls under the field of practical endeavor. Okay, the first section is called, and we're not reading all of the Broadview Anthology doesn't reproduce all of the groundwork here, but it reproduces the gist of the argument for the first section. The transition from the common rational moral cognition to philosophical. The thing you always have to keep in mind in reading Kant is this distinction he introduces us to in the preface, which we did talk about on Monday, the difference between empirical and formal morality, or the difference between material and metaphysical morality, pure metaphysical being the same thing in this case. He's reaching for a morality that is liberated or abstracted from, purified of, the empirical component, the experiential component. He wants a morality that would be true in all cases, for all situations, for all people, regardless of situations, regardless of what kinds of people we are, regardless of circumstances, and indeed even regardless of sentiment and feeling. Sentiment and feeling for Kant is the worst possible foundation for moral judgment. And many times we say this. You say that, well, I just think this is wrong. And if I ask you, why do you think this is wrong? You say, well, I don't know, but I just feel it's wrong. It just doesn't feel right to me. Kant would say, well, that's not a very effective foundation to judge something, especially when it comes to right and wrong. Because this could be influenced by your upbringing, it could be influenced by education or miseducation, it could be influenced by cultural prejudices, what your certain feeling is. It could be influenced by all sorts of factors, self-interest sneaking in when you don't realize it. So saying that, well, I just have this intuition that this is right and this is wrong, and I have to rely on, many people do talk about this, moral intuition. Kant is suspicious of such approaches. Not only suspicious, I would say he's hostile to such approaches, because he thinks that this takes us too much towards a material or a non-metaphysical morality. What he wants is a morality that would be clear, that would be pure, and that would be universal in its application. Therefore, and that would be solid in its foundation. He's looking for certainty in a moral theory. So let's begin with the first section, the first paragraph, which is very rich, and we'll take it from there. One nice thing that Kant does do here, the Metaphysics of Morals, is very directly written, and he does do something as different as he is from Aristotle. He does share one approach, at least in this work, not in his other works, and that is his tendency to, here he does, just like Aristotle I mentioned in the first sentence, if you understand the first sentence of Nicomachean Ethics, the rest of it begins to become comprehensible. Same thing is true, the first sentence of the first section of the groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals is the most important sentence in the book. Nothing can possibly be conceived in the world or even out of it. Interesting comment. Not only in this world, but outside of this world, which can be called good without qualification except a good will. The only thing that could be considered good without qualification is a good will. Now, what do you think about that? Now, he's not saying the only thing that is good is a good will, right? Read the sentence carefully. It's a very careful writer, Kant. He's not saying the only thing that is good is a good will. He's saying the only thing that is good without exception or without qualification is a good will. A good will is the only thing that is totally, absolutely, in an unqualified way, good. Now, having intelligence, he says, wit, judgment, that could be good, but it's not good in an unqualified way. It's not good without qualification. Why? You can have intelligence, and you can use your intelligence to do bad things. Right? I mean, it does take some intelligence to rob a bank or break into a vault, right? You know, pick a lock takes some intelligence, or to figure out how to scam Enron, or how Bernie Madoff, I'm sure he was pretty intelligent. He figured out how to, steal $60 billion and not have anybody notice that he was running a pyramid scheme for 30 years. Undoubtedly a very intelligent person. That doesn't mean that he was a good person. Nothing, according to Kant, is good without qualification, unless it's a good will. So what's a good will? A good will is just what it says. What drives you? What's the real motivating factor in your life? That is what the goodness of the will consists of. That's what the will consists of. So in my example from Monday, a person who jumps into the water to save somebody's life because they're going to obtain money in exchange for that, they don't have a good will. Because they're acting not out of goodness of will, they're acting out of, their motivation is, they're acting out of, a selfish inclination to make money. But somebody who goes to save somebody's life, irrespective of the consequences, even if it may injure themselves, but they do it because they know it's right. That's somebody who is showing a good will. That's the only thing that is good without qualification. That's the ultimate good. Now, how is this different than Aristotle? First off, how is this emphasis on a good will different from Aristotle, do you think?
Aristotle didn't believe that just doing things that were good without qualification. I mean, he considered happiness a good without qualification.
Right. And what does Kant think of this?
He thinks that happiness is contentment with the condition.
Mm-hmm. So it's not an unqualified good.
Right.
Because you can be contented while being happy, and yet you can still be doing bad things. Right. So they have very different concepts of the ultimate good, Kant and Aristotle, right off in the beginning. For Aristotle, the ultimate good is self-fulfillment, eudaimonia, or happiness. For Kant, the ultimate good is a good will. And a good will is not something you achieve at the end of your life. As in Aristotle, you achieve happiness only after years and years of struggle and trying. For Kant, a good will you might have right away. It depends. You might have to cultivate it, but some people have it, some people don't. Some people cultivate it, some people don't. But either way,